Hello and welcome to the 4th episode of My Little Analyst. In this episode, I will discuss who I believe will replace Princess Celestia as co-ruler of Equestria and raiser of the sun. Now, if this is the first video you've stumbled upon, I would recommend you go check them out. In particular, the first one, why I think Celestia and Luna will step down, and to a lesser extent, my third one, where I discuss the history of Equestria. I'd also recommend you check out the links below. These links link to an abridged version and my actual paper that this idea comes from. This was first a paper I wrote, and I think the papers are able to go into more depth than just this presentation is, especially my unabridged one, which is admittedly 120 pages, but the other one's about 20 pages. It's not up yet, but when I get it up, I will link it here. So I'd recommend you check those out. So without any further ado though, let me get to who I think will replace Princess Celestia as Raiser of the Sun and co-ruler of Equestria. If one will remember my first video, I said that Princess Luna will be replaced by Twilight. Question then is, who replaces Princess Celestia? My answer is Rarity. Now, I'm sure most people are kind of confused by this assertion. It doesn't seem natural that Rarity will become an Alicorn princess. She doesn't seem the type. However, I believe there is a great deal of evidence in favor of this, and I will endeavor to show in this video why I believe Rarity will become an Alicorn princess and replace Princess Celestia as Raiser of the Sun and co-ruler of Equestria. Now, I'm sure some of you are going, whoa, wait, time out. Rarity could never be an Alicorn princess. She doesn't have the magical ability to take over Celestia's role. Well, while it is true that Rarity has never shown the same magical potential as Twilight, it is not clear whether Rarity lacks the power to be the Raiser of the Sun. The most obvious explanation is we don't know at this point whether becoming an Alicorn increases one's magical ability. But even if she doesn't gain any power, I believe Rarity still has the magical ability necessary. I believe Rarity's magical ability has been underestimated through the show. We have never seen Rarity try to hone or practice her magic, but there are indications that Rarity's raw magical ability is great. She has shown great ability in terms of levitation. She is lifting multiple objects, often with great precision, whether it be in the making of her clothing or in the doing of her hair. No other pony has been shown with as much dexterity of levitation ability as Rarity. Furthermore, very few ponies have even lifted multiple objects, and Rarity seems to be able to do it without breaking a sweat. Now, there's even more to this than just she seems good at levitation. Levitation is hard. That is clear in the show. During the Failure Success song in the Crystal Empire, Twilight sings about how she was ready for her test. So she's listing hard things, the square root of weird numbers, tough magic like teleportation. And one of the lines is, levitation would have been a breeze. She's saying she was ready for levitation on the test. She would not have been saying that were levitation easy. That would be like saying, I was ready for subtraction problems on my calculus test. To include it in the song indicates it is tough magic. And considering the fact that we've never seen many ponies lift multiple objects, it does indicate that it's difficult. Furthermore, Rarity has been seen lifting other ponies without trouble. Now, it's true, these ponies are like Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo, but then in Heartwarming Eve, she even lifted Twilight. She lifted Twilight a whole season before Twilight was able to lift herself. This is pretty good levitation magic Rarity seems to have. However, there is a more fundamental point, which is Rarity has been seen controlling the weather. We know weather control is hard for unicorns to do. It's suggested in Heartwarming Eve that's impossible, because if it was possible and fairly easy, you would have imagined the Earth ponies and unicorns have come to an agreement. The unicorns would take care of the sun and the moon, as well as the weather. Earth ponies would grow the food, and they'd split it 50-50. They both are better off without giving a third to the Pegasi, and they cut the Pegasi out of the loop. If they could do it, they would have done it. But they didn't do it, which either suggests they were scared of the Pegasi, or it was so hard for the unicorns to control the weather, it made no sense for them to try. This is confirmed in Magic Duel, where Trixie comes back and starts using high-level magic against Twilight. She brings in a Stow Storm and does an Age spell, and the Age spell causes Twilight to go, only the highest level unicorns can do that. Then later, when discussing the situation to Zecora, Twilight says, I don't get it. Trixie was doing weather and age spells. Now, we already knew age spells able to be done by the highest level unicorn, so to include weather spells in there is to be saying weather spells are really, really hard. Kind of defeats the punch of the statement to say, oh, Trixie could do algebra and fuzzy logic. So clearly Twilight is saying weather spells are on the same level, or about the same level, as age spells. And in Magical Mystery Cure, Rarity was doing weather spells without breaking a sweat. She had a little bit of trouble controlling the thunderclouds, but other than that, she was great. In fact, she could make patterns of clouds in the sky. If someone lacked the ability to precisely move them, they can't do that. She had a great deal of control. Now, it's true she didn't end up being good at her job because she misinterpreted the phrase weather pattern, but she actually had the ability to do it. So she was able to do something no unicorn should have been able to do. Now, some might point out, as we learn in Ghostbusters, a unicorn gains special magical ability in their area of expertise. So now that Rarity is controlling the weather, it makes sense for her to have more magical ability in that regards. However, this argument does not make sense, because you only gain magical ability in the area of your talents. If Rarity had ability there, that would mean she had talent in there. The whole point of the episode was the destinies of the 5 ponies had been mixed up, and they no longer represented their true talents or destinies. If Rarity was actually good at that and was able to gain that magical ability because of that, that would then be her talent. She'd actually be good at that, and that would be her destiny. She couldn't switch back to doing fashion. Her talent now resided in weather control. That's what she was good at. That's what her ability was in. She had lost the fashion, so it would have defeated the entire point of the episode. Furthermore, Rainbow Dash's Cutie Mark says nothing about weather control. As we learn in the Cutie Mark Chronicles, Rainbow Dash's Cutie Mark bespeaks of a need for speed, not weather control. Her destiny is to join the Wonderbolts and be the fastest flyer in Equestria. Thus, Rainbow's Cutie Mark on Rarity is not giving her additional powers. All that is her raw magical ability. So clearly, Rarity has tremendous raw magical ability. Rarity can do magic we have never even seen Twilight do. I'm not saying Rarity is better at magic than Twilight, but I do think she's much more powerful than she lets on. So I've explained the how Rarity will be a princess, but I need to explain the why Rarity will be a princess. Why her? Well, it makes sense for it to be Rarity and Twilight. They form together an unstoppable duo. Alone, each of them would not be a particularly good ruler, even Twilight. I think most would agree, Twilight has shown the strengths and skills necessary in a good ruler. She has great leadership, she is motivational, and she's very intelligent. She comes up with plans to save the day all the time. So she seems to have what it takes to be a leader. The problem is, she'd be a great administrator, but a horrible politician and public figure. When one thinks of politicians, usually the word that comes to mind is not adorkable. Normally they like being social, and they have no problems intermixing and engaging in a social environment. They have no trouble reading the emotions of other people and even, to put it bluntly, manipulating them when necessary. Twilight has shown no ability to do this. Of course, in Lesson 0, she's totally snapped. Imagine she did that on a diplomatic mission. In The Best Night Ever, she showed no interest in hobnobbing with the elite. She would rather have spent the time with Celestia than meet, as Pinky put it, a bunch of folks with clout. Even though it's a monarchy, noble opposition could slow down or distort her agenda. So a good ruler needs popular support, and particular support of the nobles. Furthermore, it helps soothe tensions and keep everything calm and okay and in harmony. Twilight doesn't like doing that, and presumably she wouldn't be very good at it, and if she was okay at it, she tried to avoid it. So that would not be good. And of course, think about the way she responded in a Canterlot wedding, accused the bride of being evil. It is not a surprise people responded the way they did. So Twilight has not shown a great deal of skill in terms of being an effective public figure, but she'd be a great administrator. By contrast, Rarity would be a wonderful public figure. Yeah, but as an administrator, she might be lacking. Rarity wouldn't be a great administrator. She hasn't really shown any, per se, super strong leadership abilities. Her organizational abilities seem fine, but nothing spectacular. Odds are she'd be a decent administrator, but not particularly good. By contrast, she would be a phenomenal public figure. That is what she loves. That is what she wants to do. She prefers spending time with other ponies to doing fashion even. That was made clear in Sweet and Elite. She wanted to make the dress for Twilight, but preferred to be spending the time with the elite. She would love being a public figure. She'd love going to the parties. She'd love hobnobbing with the elite and spending all her time talking to them and going to parties. She'd love that. And she'd be phenomenal at it. Let's not forget, Rarity came to Canterlot in Sweden Elite as a no pony, and within a week was the pony every pony should know. That is tremendous growth in 1 week. She went from a no pony to christening a blimp next to Prince Blueblood. That takes skill. So clearly, she is very good at that role. She would excel at it. She seems to have a great deal of strength in regards to her social ability. And what's more is this is very similar to the current relationship between Luna and Celestia. Celestia doesn't seem to do much of any work. She goes to all the parties. She goes to the brunches and teas in her honor. And she spends time with the elite, such as at the Grand Galopin Gala. She spends her time doing that. Whereas Luna never goes to those kind of events. She didn't go to the main ceremony in the wedding, nor did she have any major role in Twilight's coronation. But when we do see her, she's trying to actually do stuff, such as in the Crystal Empire, where she wants to go with Twilight to help her. It seems like Luna's a little bit more of a doer, while Celestia is a little bit more of a public figure. No other character, especially in the main cast, would do as good a job as Rarity of complementing Twilight, one's weakness being covered by the other's strength, and together they would form an unstoppable duo, better even than Celestia and Luna. So I have explained how she has the power to be an Alicorn princess and why it would make sense for her to be an Alicorn princess, but I haven't provided anything approaching proof yet. However, there is proof in the show that Rarity is likely to become an Alicorn princess. So let's start with the simplest bit of evidence. Rarity has already been an Alicorn. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean anything. However, it's been mentioned several times. It was mentioned in Sleepless in Ponyville. It was mentioned in the recent Hot Minute from Hot Topic. So the audience has been reminded of this several times. What's so important about her being an Alicorn, though? Well, what was she doing with her wings? Well, she used her wings to create patterns from light that brought joy to ponies. Very similar to what Celestia's role actually is. And what's more, if you look at the images, they are almost identical. The parallels should be obvious. Considering that these episodes happened in quick succession and probably were being worked on close to one another, it seems likely that they remembered that they had just done a thing that looked very similar to this. Odds are this was deliberate on their part. It's highly suggestive. There's also the color similarities. Rarity is a smoky white. Celestia is a light pink. Their colors are similar. Rarity is a little darker. Twilight is a light purple. Luna is a dark blue. Their colors are somewhat similar, though Twilight is lighter, so in that sense they're kind of moderating them, but they maintain the same color symbolism. Light for day, dark for night. Furthermore, they all have purple, and purple has normally been associated with as a royal color. And if you look, all of the princesses and Rarity have purple. It is suggestive. Probably the key piece of evidence regarding Rarity has to do with her cutie mark. Let's take a look at her cutie mark. What does her cutie mark represent? Is it a banana? An umbrella? No, of course not. It's a diamond, right? Plain simple. She likes fashion. She's good at finding gems. She likes putting gems on clothing. It's a gem. It's a diamond. That's great, except for one small problem. A diamond in that shape has never been seen in the entire show. Here are a bunch of images. Tons from all the seasons. I tried to get as many different samples as I could. Every time I saw a scene with a diamond, I'd pause and meticulously look. If you see one, if you find another scene where there's one, let me know. But here, no diamonds. None. Can't find a single diamond. Not even in a jewelry store do these diamonds appear. These diamonds do not exist. So why is Rarity's cutie mark on a gem that doesn't exist? There are cutie marks of gems that do exist. We've seen other ponies with them. Cutie marks can be ridiculously specific. So why is Rarity's one that doesn't exist? Even if they were a rarity, you would expect them to be in a jewelry store. So maybe her cutie mark is not actually representing a diamond. So let's take a closer look at Rarity's cutie mark. It's 3 diamond shapes in a pattern of down, up, down, with a circle or oval in the middle and lines coming out of it. It almost looks like a sun with beams of light coming out in the different stages of the day, rising, peaking, and setting. While this may seem interesting, it may also seem unimportant. There's no evidence of this. But wait, there is. When I said there was no gem in the show that looked identical to Rarity's cutie mark, that was a little bit of a misnomer. It's not quite true. There are 2 gems in the show that do look identical to Rarity's cutie mark. Shape, number of facets, internal pattern, identical. And they are both found on Princess Celestia. These aren't royal jewelry. Luna doesn't have them. Cadance has jewelry, but it's in a completely different pattern. There is no gem other than on Celestia that looks like this. Why does Rarity have a cutie mark that is identical to gems only found on Celestia? Or to put another way, why does Celestia have gems that are identical to Rarity's cutie mark? The most logical explanation is these are supposed to represent the sun. And there is evidence of this, more than just then that Celestia wears them. During the coronation of Twilight, all the princesses changed their outfits. Luna has a new necklace and a new tiara, both emphasizing her control of the moon. Celestia has a crown, no doubt trying to symbolize her overall monarch of Equestria. And of course, circle with a bunch of little orbs on top, could be the sun. Cadance has changed as well. She has crystals in her hair and a kind of crystal over her heart, all representing their control. And then Celestia is wearing the same necklace. Why isn't she wearing something that better represents her control over the sun? Well, that does represent her control over the sun. That's what the jewelry is supposed to do. But there's another point, which is the chariots the princesses use. We haven't seen much of Luna's. It was at a bad angle. We don't even know if Cadance has one, but we have seen Celestia's and Twilight's. Twilight's has a star motif. You see a lot of stars on the front and on the back, and these stars look almost identical to her cutie mark. Then we've seen Celestia's chariot. Once again, common sun and star motif. We see on the front a sun that looks almost identical to her cutie mark, and on the back an abstract thing that kind of looks like a sun with beams of light coming off of it. Except if that were to be completed, it would look almost identical to her jewelry, which in turn looks almost identical to Rarity's cutie mark. Imagine what Rarity's chariot would look like. So clearly, the diamond is supposed to represent Celestia's control over the sun, which then begs the question, why does Rarity have that as a cutie mark? The most logical explanation is maybe Rarity doesn't know her true destiny yet. Maybe it bespeaks of her one day gaining the power over the sun. This doesn't seem preposterous, considering the way she got her cutie mark. She got her cutie mark by putting gems on an outfit and having these sparkles of light playing off it make pleasing light to the audience. It had to do with light. She does a lot with light. It seems likely that this is supposed to be foreshadowing. Furthermore, this ties into the Canterlot decorations that I talked about in my previous episode. The diamond shape seen on Rarity's cutie mark is identical to the diamond shape seen around Canterlot, and for that matter, Twilight's star is also similar to that. If one looks at the images, very similar to Rarity's cutie mark. Seems odd that this rare diamond that represents Canterlot, royalty, and unicornia is appearing as Rarity's cutie mark. Furthermore, in this image, we see the Unicornian Castle. What do we see? We see a unicorn with white fur, blue eyes, and a purple mane, very much like Rarity, with these 3 diamonds in the exact same position as her cutie mark. Now, this lends credence to the idea that this is supposed to represent the sun in the 3 different stages, but it is also likely foreshadowing. Taken together, all this seems hard to dismiss as just a coincidence. We have seen hundreds of gems in the show, and not once have they been anything close to Rarity's cutie mark. And the only gem that is like Rarity's cutie mark is found on Princess Celestia. That seems unlikely to be just a coincidence, especially when factored into the Canterlot decorations. Well, there are many more pieces of evidence I could include. This covers the broad topic. I think there's only one more point worthwhile to consider before wrapping up this video, which is the conclusion. Most people said it made sense for Twilight to become an Alicorn princess at some point, but to make her become an Alicorn princess in season 3 strikes some as weird. How are they going to top that? So far, every season finale has topped the previous. You had the Grand Galloping Gala, the biggest party of the year. Then you had a once in a blue moon royal wedding. And then you had a princess coronation. How do you top that? Well, the only real way you can top that is another princess coronation and or a transfer of power. That's the only way. However, there's another point related to this, which is the dreams and ambitions of the ponies. It seems likely that the ponies will get their happy ending. Twilight's already becoming princess. Rainbow Dash will probably become a member of the Wonderbolts. But what about Rarity? What does she want? What's her dream? Well, we learned it in Ticketmaster. She wants to become a princess. Does this mean she will become a princess merely because she wants it? No, but when tied in with everything else, there seems to be a strong body of evidence which suggests that Rarity will become an Alicorn princess and replace Princess Celestia. I hope you found this video interesting. This certainly is not the end of my evidence. I have a lot more, some very interesting bits of evidence that could not be fit in. If you're interested, I'd recommend you go check those out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.